What's up, everybody, and welcome to Ohio Sports Talk. I am your host, Doug. That's my guy, Jordan Maxson. Jordan, what a day! What a pre-draft, the day before the draft. What a day it's been. Just a little while ago, your guy Trey Hendrickson asked for a trade. That kind of stacks along with the T. Higgins issues, where he asked for the trade also. Two superstars in your guys' for your guys' team, the Bengals have now asked for trades. What are your thoughts, buddy? Because it doesn't look good from Cleveland, if you know what I mean. What's going on, bud?
Honestly, I'm just gonna start right at the top. I'm just gonna rip right into it. Duke Tobin seems to be the problem in my mind, and there's nothing that you can say right now, at least today, that's going to change my mind. When we fired Marvin Lewis, when we let him go, we brought in this new coaching regime.
Yep.
A lot of the Marvin Lewis players said that Duke Tobin was like this, said our coaching staff was like this. Carlos Dunlap had issues with him.
Yeah.
And spoke very adamantly about it. Drake Kirkpatrick, when he left, spoke very adamantly, even took shots on Twitter.
Okay.
Or X, is whatever you want to call it, at both Duke Tobin and organization for lack of communication, lack of talking to the agents. And this kind of seems to fit the mold. You look at the safety situation with Jesse Bates, it kind of fits this mold again. Jesse Bates said it was lack of communication from the organization. We kept playing him on a tag. They said no conversations really happened at the table.
Right.
You look at our defensive tackle that went and signed with Detroit. Once he got to Detroit, he spoke kind of freely. He said that almost zero communication during his rehab when he's right there at the facility.
Yep.
So, I mean, I doubt DJ Reader is going to be dishonest about it, because he wanted to be in Cincinnati. We saw that he was going to sporting events with Sam Hubbard and with Joe Burrow, outside of his rehab situation. He said there were no talks. So he's not going to wait around forever.
Sporting
Detroit came knocking and
Hubbard.
He signed.
Makes sense to me. Yeah.
It kind of fits the mold. Here we go, T. Higgins. Duke Tobin spoke last year very highly. He said, we're not here to make other teams better at the wide receiver position. Go find your own. So we all got in line with that. We're like, all right, this is fire. We're going to go in. We're going to sign him. And bam, here we are again. Franchise tag. It feels like Jesse Bates part 2. Franchise tag. T. Higgins is saying nobody's talking to him. Nobody in organizations even looked his way. That's insane for a guy that used at the podium, spoke very highly of last year, saying we're not going to make any teams better. We're going to sign our own, and we're going to take care of in-house. Here we go. Trey Hendrickson. He did sign the extension last season, giving him an additional year, regardless of what you think about the tag, 15 to 20 million price range. That I personally don't see what he's complaining about, because he's still on that extension.
He's the one who signed the extension, and that's kind of where I thought it was a little bit interesting also. That's not to say that I don't think he's a little bit underpaid, because I think he is a fantastic pass rusher. But you can't sign an extension for that amount of money and then, all of a sudden, I need more money. Now, I do understand him wanting to be signed long-term. I have no issue with that. That totally makes sense. But the way I read it, and some people were talking on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, he can't re-sign or sign in again until they can't negotiate it until what, July 27th, I believe. So
I believe it's July, the week of July 27th, 28th.
The week of that, whatever. I find the timing to be odd also. The day before the draft, this kind of sends people into a frenzy. It's interesting timing. But, Jordan, we're going to touch on the Bengals a little bit more here in a minute. Let's look around town. The Reds took a lead over the Phillies. It was 5-3. The Phillies have added a run. It's now 5-4. The Phillies have a guy on second and third with one out. So that lead could be short-lived. You were talking about the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. They are The Heat are up 7 with about 9.5 minutes to go. Just, not to get too much into, other teams and other stuff like that. Tough night for the Celtics. I mean, they're just not playing good basketball tonight. And then a look up north to our friends, the Guardians. They took one on the chin tonight. They lost 8-0 to the Red Sox. Jordan, the reason we're here today, we're here to talk draft. We're here to talk, get into the X's and the O's of draft night tomorrow night. Let's get started with the Bengals, buddy. You guys definitely have some needs. Now, I'm going to ask you first, and then I'll give you my opinion as a Browns fan I'm not here to throw salt, not here to do any of that stuff. We're gonna mock draft together. The shit talking will come closer to the season. We're way too far away to let all the ammo go now. Jordan, I'll start because I'm the outsider. Positions of need. It's got to be D tackle. It's got to be O-line. I would say now, if you want to overreact to the Trey Hendricks news, another pass rusher, cornerback. What are your thoughts on those 4 needs right there?
You hit the nail on the head. I've been saying the last 2 shows, I've been saying consistently, trenches. So defensive tackle, obviously a huge sore thumb. Offensive line, we signed a tackle this year. We signed Brown on a 1-year deal. So still a huge position of need.
Right.
Especially on the left side. We're talking about our $200+ million quarterback, and we got a left tackle on a 1-year rental deal. So we definitely wanted to go draft one, in my opinion. If defensive tackle is not there in the first round, and we'll get into it. But the position of need is obviously it's offensive tackle, it's defensive tackle, and then everything else kind of. I have linebacker a little bit over cornerback, just because outside of Logan Wilson, Pratt. And, we signed Akeem Davis-Gallers to an also what I call a 1-year rental. We brought him back into the fold. There's really not much linebacker depth beyond those 3 guys. So I myself prioritize linebacker over corner just because we did draft 2 corners in the last 2 drafts, both in the second round for DJ Turner and Cam Taylor-Britt. So I think we have corner pretty locked up, at least this year. Mike Hilton's still there on a 1-year deal left on his contract.
But do you think that's a position maybe you look for a depth piece then, because Mike Hilton is only signed for a year?
With the emergence, because we signed 2 safeties in the off season, and we have we still have Dax Hill there, which I'm being told by certain guys that kind of are close to the ground, that he's potentially going to be in line for the Mike Hilton position. So I think the depth piece is already there. I think they're going to play kind of a chess game with Dax Hill, both an inside slot and outside corner. So I think our corners are there. We have 3 guys that we've drafted in the last 3 years in a secondary, and we still have Jordan Battle that's going to rotate with Von Bell, and he could possibly come down and play that slot position too. So I think our secondary is more intact than what people think and give it credit for.
That's fair.
But our linebacker position, we really haven't attacked it via draft or really free agency outside of a couple of pieces here and there kind of late in the season or late in camp. So I have linebacker prioritized. I think our secondary is in a lot better shape than people give it credit for. Signing Stone over from Baltimore solidifies the back end of the safety. Bringing Von Bell brings 1-year communicator, so you can teach Dax Hill or Jordan Battle how to play that position. And Mike Hilton can kind of pass off the torch to one of those guys too, if it doesn't work out. So we have viable options in a secondary.
All right. Well, now that you laid that out, Jordan, you and I are going to do a Bengals mock draft. We're going to go all 7 rounds. We've got the speed up a little bit, so it's not going to drag on too much. We're going to work together to work out what we think the needs are, what's available at that time. Obviously, we've got pick 18. We're going to start the draft and see where we end up. Okay, Jordan, we've got Byron Murphy, the second here, who's been a hot name. We've got Amiris Mims, Chop Robinson. We've got Jerzon Newton. What are you looking for here at 18? If this is your board, the Bengals, this is how it falls tomorrow. Who are you taking and why?
Oh, if Byron Murphy is there, I'm not even wasting 30 seconds. I'm going all in on Byron Murphy. He's rated number 1 in that position group for defensive tackle. Yep. I was able to catch, being in Big Ten country, we did get the luxury of seeing a few solid Texas games, especially kind of in their postseason berth. And he was definitely a guy that stood out in just about every game that I saw. His intangibles, his workouts have been positive through feedback. People have praised him highly for his off the field intangibles. So he's going to bring not really any black eyes or any baggage to the locker room straight up forward. So I'm going with him. We let DJ Reader go in free agency, and outside of BJ Hill, we don't have a solidified defensive tackle.
So yeah, here comes your DJ Reader replacement. I'm going to go with you on that, Murphy. If Murphy was gone, though, I would look at Mims or I would look at Troy Fatano from Washington on the O tackle position to really bolster that O line. But because Murphy's still available, I'm going to agree with you there. So we're going to take Murphy at 18. Next pick. Now that it's taken its sweet time. But like you said, Murphy is a guy who top at his position. He's almost a can't miss type prospect. Okay, Jordan, here we are at pick 49. Now, we talked about some needs. O-line is definitely a need. You mentioned linebacker, wide receiver could be a position of need here. What are you looking for at this spot? Because there's some different picks possible here. What are you looking for at the pick 49? I still see Kingsley there from BYU at O-line. What are you looking to get here in the draft?
At this point with the Trey Hendrickson, I'm looking edge. I'm
early.
I'm buying into the panic attack. You look at Sam Hubbard's coming off surgery. Trey Hendrickson doesn't want to be there. And a lot of the other edge guys, Cam Sample hasn't really panned out. And just kind of the depth pieces below that, our first round pick last year, he barely even saw the field. So in the second round, I'm looking at maybe and I'm probably going to butcher his name, Adisa Isaac from Penn State, edge player if he's available. That's who was on my board.
Yeah. Not available in this draft where we're at now. See, but Jordan, I'm gonna push back. I think this is a good spot to go O-line or wide receiver. Now, I don't love Keon Coleman, so I would probably pass on him. And Ricky Pearsall just doesn't move me as much, but I like the big body of Kingsley Sautimata at O-line. Are you willing to be flexible and get a solid O-lineman that you can build on and be a future piece of that O-line, or do you think it needs to be? Do you think it needs to be an edge rusher? Do you think you really think the Trey Hendrickson situation is that bad?
I do. I think the Trey Hendrickson situation is panning out that bad, and even some of his insider tweets are saying that he's pondering retirement.
Yeah, that seemed a little extreme.
Long-term deal. If a long-term deal can't be done. But
I also don't think you like Adesai Isaac. I think he could be there in the next round, though. I really do think we've got to go O-line here. I think we can get a good pass rush in the next round. I think we go Kingsley here, and then we hope, or Kieran Abijaya from Yale. Which one did you like better, Kingsley or Kieran from Yale?
I had Kingsley higher up on my board if available.
Okay, so, I'm talking you into it. We're gonna wait and we're gonna save pass rush for our next pick in the third round. On some of your mock drafts we were sharing, Jordan, you had Blake Corum. Why were you so in on Blake Corum?
He's a running back that does well in the pass block. That's something the Bengals have lacked. He matches kind of Brown's explosiveness, which is already on the team.
Yep.
And he's a guy that in college goes between the tackles. And that's something the Bengals have kind of lacked since I won't say our running back situation fell off, but Mixon had some trouble going in between the tackles, whether that was, playing behind a bad line or just kind of got up there and carries. But Blake Corum strikes me as a guy that can go in between the tackles, and we live in AFC North. When the weather gets cold and we go to those late October, early November, and December games, it becomes a trench warfare. And Blake Corum's a guy that, that they went on an amazing run. You saw in the Big Ten week in and week out. He faced good defensive linemen and he stood his ground. So he's somebody I'd really like to see that if he's available in round 3 and one of our round 3 picks, because the Bengals have 2 of them, I would definitely go for him.
Okay, well then that's the question. We're in round 3. We're at pick 80. Trevonde Sweat is still available. Cedric Gray, the linebacker from North Carolina, is available. Blake Corum is available in this. Michael Hall is available. There are some good Cade Stover. Tight end could be a potential position of need. To me, if Sweat's here in the 3rd round, I'm pairing him with Murphy.
Yes.
What pick are you making? Are you talked about wanting a linebacker potentially? Do you get Cedric Gray? Do you take Blake Corum here? Or do you wait for the 2nd, 3rd round pick?
I'm going to wait for the 2nd, 3rd round pick for thoughts on anybody but Sweat. Right now, you got to lock in for Sweat. I know he had it. I know he has off the field issues.
He's a drunk. Hopefully, he's a drunk. That's his business. No, I think that's the right move. I think we locked that in. That's a good pick by Sweat. Pick 97, Jordan. What are we looking for here? Some of the guys we were talking about are off the board. If we look at potential linebackers, there's Curtis Jacobs from Penn State. There's Jeremiah Trotter. And then you could look at some other positions. Trevin Wallace, another linebacker. Anybody catch your eye here that you're looking at? DT, we're solid at DT. Running back, I don't think I would take Marshawn Lloyd here. Brennan Rice, the receiver from USC, probably not. Austin Booker from Kansas, an edge rusher. But there's also Hunt from Houston Christian, another edge rusher. What do you want to get here in your 2nd, 3rd round pick?
I got to look at Penn State and I got to take the linebacker.
Okay, so we're going Curtis Jacobs from Penn State. Curtis Jacobs, yep, we're locking him in our 2nd, 3rd round pick. So that there's an early round pick on linebacker, something that you wanted. We got to help Logan Wilson out a little bit here, get him a higher pick. Round 4, Hunt is still here from Houston Christian. Brennan Jackson from Washington State. Those are 2 edge rushers. Tanner McLaughlin, the tight end. Malik Washington from Virginia. Wouldn't maybe be a bad spot to take a risk on a wide receiver here. What are your thoughts? Jermaine Burton from Bama. What are you looking for? Pick 115 of round 4.
I had Caden Wallace, if he's available, offensive tackle from Penn State.
Okay, let's see. Caden Wallace is available here.
That's who I had scouted for this pick.
Okay.
He brings size. He's a guy that played both center and guard.
Remember though, we did take Kingsley early. Does that sway you all from taking another lineman, or are you willing to double up?
I'm willing to double up because I look at camp and I look at the guys that we have on a 1 year, and I look at a guy like Jackson Carman they can't find in the field, who's a potential cut candidate or late trade candidate in camp. So I double it up here almost means that he's gone. We can start moving past the guys that aren't really fitting the mold. Okay. And really give the Bengals another option here.
Okay, so we're going Caden Wallace at pick 115. Next, are we going to look for a wide receiver at this next pick? Are we going to look for a corner potentially, maybe a tight end? What are you looking for at the next pick here?
I'm going to look in a cornerback position and/or tight end, depending on what's out there. I know there was a lot of tight ends listed kind of late in the draft.
We got Jared Wiley from TCU available. Jeremiah Thrash from Louisville as a wide receiver. Span Ford from Minnesota, the tight end. Kalen Carson, cornerback from Wake Forest. Anybody in there kind of stick out to you?
It's a rough one. I would definitely say the tight end out of the tight end group.
Okay, so Jared Wiley from TCU, we'll lock that in. Good pass catcher, good athlete. I think getting him in the 5th or 6th round is probably a solid spot for him. So yeah, I definitely will co-sign with that one. All right, we're in round 6 now. Now we're getting down in the nitty gritty where, some things are definitely a little thin. You guys have not taken a running back. Is running back going to be a spot that you potentially think you're going to draft?
This late in the draft, probably not.
Okay.
I'm thinking I'm continuing to think corner.
Okay.
This late in the draft, if we want some depth pieces and special team pieces, so we're not playing our stars.
Okay, so
I'm thinking Tarib Still, if he's available, from Maryland, cornerback.
Oh, he's gone.
He's gone. That's a guy that
Josh Wallace from Michigan's the top guy on the board. Johnny Dixon from Penn State. MJ Devonshire from Pittsburgh. Kalen King from Penn State.
I would personally go with Dixon from Penn State. He had a solid college career. Somebody that was always kind of his speed kind of hurt him over in the combine. So maybe that's one of the reasons he's available. But he plays well in the zone, and that's what Lou Amarillo does best. He puts our corners in zone situations. A guy that can come in, play some good special teams, kind of learn the system, and be a future starter. So yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, 6th round pick, number 214. Trajan Jeffcoat from Arkansas, still an edge rusher. Do you maybe throw him in there as an edge piece because he's the top guy on the board still? I don't hate that pick at all because if he works out, it's a boom pick.
I think betting on best available this late in the draft is always kind of the best way to go. So I agree with you 100%.
All right, and then round 7, we didn't take a receiver. We didn't take a running back. What are you looking for here? A best available is a running back, and then a safety. What are you looking for to get out of the 7th round?
7th round, you can shoot crabs, and we can go in all the way for running back just to kind of test the waters. Maybe get another special teams guy in.
Yep. Then we're going to go with Kamani Vidal from Troy, and that's going to put an end to our draft. Oh, sorry, we got 2 7th round picks. I forgot. Josh Wallace from Michigan to close it out, cornerback. That way we maybe take a flyer on a kid that I know he's from up north, but our guy Drew Garrison could probably help us out with that
one. What about is there a Tatum? It's Bethune from Florida State.
Yes, there is.
Linebacker. That's who I would pick. That's who I have on my board.
Then we'll take him and we'll round out our Bengals board. All right, Jordan, we got Byron Murphy, the 2nd and 1st round. We got Kingsley Satimiana in round 2, Trevonde Sweat at 3, Curtis Jacobs, round 3 also, Caden Wallace, round 4, Jared Wiley, round 5, Johnny Dixon, round 6, Trajan Jeffcoat, round 6, Kimani Vidal, round 7, and then Tatum Bethune, our last pick from Florida State. Overall, Jordan, it's a solid draft class. It's definitely we're gonna take a picture of this. That way we can. I'll fix it. But solid draft class, Jordan. We'll definitely post these and see what people think about our draft. That way, we can get some feedback on our draft. But yeah, it's tough.
And just in case we do get some pushback, I'm not as worried about wide receiver because we still have T. Higgins on the tag. Yeah. We still have Andre Yoshevich or Yoshi.
Yes, Yoshi.
Came off a 5-touchdown rookie season.
Yeah, true.
That's pretty promising moving forward. And we still have Trenton Irwin, who's a guy that's been there for a while and seems to score and catch the ball at the right time. So we have guys that have been there and guys that are kind of upcoming in the wide receiver position, and we still have Uno. So it's not time to panic yet in the wide receiver position. Next year's draft class for wide receiver is going to be even just about as loaded as this year's was. So I personally think that you're getting guys like you look at even what Ohio State's got a couple seniors coming off.
That's true.
And a lot of guys are playing longer in college. So yeah, a lot of guys opted to return their senior year, and I kind of see a draft class for the Bengals that we don't have to necessarily hit the panic button at wide receiver this season.
Just a little heads up before we do the Browns draft. Espinal for the Reds now has his third RBI of the game. Just a couple of days ago, I was asking for this guy to be off the roster. Now he's got
we both were.
He's got 3 RBIs against the Phillies in a huge game. All right, Jordan, let's get into the Browns draft. We don't have a pick till the second round, so it's got to be. You've got to hit this pick. It's got to hit.
Do we apologize to Espinal?
Oh no, we don't. No public apologies until the end of the year. Jordan picks round 2, pick 54. To me, looking at this list, it's got to be Braden Fisk, the D tackle from Florida State. Any arguments there from you?
You do have a strong defensive line right now. I know you guys. I know you guys have a couple
stronger.
It could always be stronger. I would personally look at linebacker, but I don't hate this pick at all. So this would be a home run pick either way.
So, like we did with the Bengals, let's do it with the Browns. Our biggest things of need, to me, like you said, linebacker is one of them, but it's got to be D-line, O-line, linebacker, wide receiver. And then I would definitely take a running back probably in the 5th or 6th round, depending on what happens. Just because you never know with Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford isn't my favorite guy. So I would look at a running back in that range. I would get Fisk here to solidify the D line, and then I would look at linebacker and some of those other positions as we go. So to me, I think Braden Fisk is the pick here. I'm locking it in, and then we'll move on to the next pick where we can actually have a discussion because I feel like we've got to get him if he's available at that pick. All right, pick 85. Linebacker, we talked about it. Cedric Gray is available at 85. To me, that's a home run pick. Cedric Gray, you got to take him here. Based on ESPN's projection, he's the 49th best player. We're getting him here at 85. That's a somewhat steal in my opinion. Thoughts on Cedric Gray here in round 3?
I think Cedric Gray could actually come into Cleveland and make a case for some packages, especially he's going to be a great special teams guy, but I could see him playing some cover packages. His coverage skill in college, he did have a couple good interceptions. He's a guy that plays well in the zone and a guy that can kind of come off the blitz. We did see him kind of do some pass rushing in college. So I think for the Browns, that's just going to make a defense even scarier. So that's a home run pick for you guys, as you put it.
Yep, no, I'm definitely with you on that. We're going to lock that in. Okay, next pick. Once we get that locked, to me, Cedric. If we could go Fisk, Cedric Gray, I'm going to be pretty excited about our draft. I mean, to me, that's a really solid foundation for a draft where we don't even have a first round pick. So I'm pretty excited about that one. next pick here. We've got round 5, pick 156.
What's left at tight end? Because I'm kind of worried about for the Browns tight end outside of Njoku.
So Wiley, who we took with your pick, Holker from Colorado State, Bell, Brevin Spanford. I see none of these guys really jump off the page to me. If Sover was somehow here in the 5th round, I would go that way. But to me, the guy that I'm taking, and I'm looking real hard at this, is the big lineman from Utah, the guard. I think that's a guy that we could work with. So I'm going to take the big man from Utah and lock him in here. It just, to me, there's nobody else that jumps off the page. Ray Davis is somebody I would look at a little bit later if he was there. I don't know if I'm going to take my 5th round pick when I can get the big fellow from Utah. So I'm going to go Utah here. The big Samoan from Utah. I would love if you guys or us could get Ray Davis though from UK. I think that would be a nice steal for either one of our teams if we could get them later in the draft. What were you going to say though, buddy?
Oh no, I was just going to kind of re-solidify that. There was nothing eye-popping for the tight end position when you have other best availability on the board. So I was just going to kind of chime in and agree with you there.
No, yeah, I mean. So here we're looking at best available here. We're in round 6, pick 206. So sometimes you got to just look at the best available. It's the guard / center from Hunter Nourzad from Penn State. Then we got the safety from Oregon, Evan Williams. I wouldn't be upset if we took a risk on Tarib Still from Maryland, a guy you mentioned earlier. He is a corner. We're pretty solid at corner. But Jordan, is there ever in today's football too many corners?
No.
Is it possible to have too many corners?
And you look at Denzel Ward missed a good chunk of last year.
Yeah,
and he's had some injuries that were starting to nick out. So I definitely would take a corner if available.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to lock in Tarib Still, from Maryland. I think that's a solid get in the later rounds. A guy who could come in and play special teams and then potentially rotate in on some packages. Round 7, our last pick. We didn't Cornelius Johnson from Michigan at receiver still here. Rashid Ali from Marshall still here. Trajan Jeffcoat is still here, the edge rusher from Arkansas. I'm going to go Cornelius Johnson here. Shout out to Drew. These Michigan guys, they're pretty good except for 1 week a year. So I'll lock it in here. I think he's a good project. A guy he doesn't have to come in and play, and he can learn from Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore and those type guys. And then our last pick,
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I hope he's good. I really hope it works out. Frank Gore Jr. He's not really I want a speed guy. If I'm going to get a running back, I want a speed guy. So I don't see anybody who's going to fit that bill. I think we take a flyer here on Devin Culp from Washington, the tight end, and round out our draft that way. I guess. It's kind of hard when you get to these later rounds because unless you're really, really locked in and you're doing mountains of research, some of these guys are going to be tough to know. That's just the facts. It's just some of these guys you kind of hope you hit on, and if you don't, oh well. They're 7th round picks. Jordan, I enjoyed doing that. The 2 mock drafts. Okay, so. We'll post these on Twitter, post these on Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. At 18, is Murphy the second your home run pick? If he's the guy, it's got to be him. Is that what we're hammering in stone?
That's 100% what I'm hammering in stone. Yes, if Murphy's there, you have to take him. This defense has no answers outside of B.J. Hill at the defensive tackle position, and it just. Okay. We play in the toughest division of football. We've got to answer that call. you have to take him.
Okay, and then for us, pick 54 to me, I've made it clear on the last two podcasts, Braden Fisk, he's our guy. Lock him in. If we can get him, let's take him, and let's move on, and hopefully somehow Cedric Gray falls to pick 85. Jordan, a lot of fun here doing the mock drafts with you. It soaked up a lot of time. Let's get over to Game 3, Cavs versus Magic. Quick little update on the Reds. They're up 6-4 still. Game 3, Jordan. Our guy Donovan Mitchell. To me, I need Donovan Mitchell to come out hot. He's done it the first two games, but I need him to stay hot. I want to see Donovan Mitchell come out and put a stamp on this game because it's the first away game of the postseason. He's been through all this. He's been through the ups and downs. I want to see him be the guy early and often tomorrow night. What are your thoughts on that? I'm going to go Donovan Mitchell plus 30 points tomorrow night. What are your thoughts there?
I agree with you 100%. I think this is, I would call this a legacy game for Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
I'm gonna stamp it right here on our talk show.
Legacy game.
This is a legacy game right here, and it almost has to be because we are now on the road. You took care of business at home, something the Cavaliers have done all year pretty solidly, and this is where the lights are brightest. Game 3 in a must-win situation for Orlando, so they're going to come out just like we touched on Monday. They're going to come out, scratching, clawing, giving you body, giving you hard fouls, trying to play it, get in your head. And Donovan Mitchell has to come out plus 30. It's a legacy game. If Donovan Mitchell wants the contract, Cleveland wants to keep him here, and he's going to give us. We all know why, but the playoffs are what makes your legacy. And right now, he hasn't had that stamp yet in his whole career. So this would solidify, I think, both sides for Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers front office that this is the guy moving forward 110%. Let's pay him. Put the stamp on, get the win, get the 30-plus points, play a complete game from first quarter to fourth quarter, and take care of business. And I think moving forward for the Cavs, both for him, both for the organization, and in this series, it's going to do wonders.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The other thing I would like to see in this one, Jordan, in the playoffs, usually bench play comes and goes as you're playing at home. I would love to see Karis LeVert get us 10 to 15 tomorrow night. I would love to see Isaac Okoro come in, get a couple steals, couple transition buckets, and it would be so helpful for this team if George Niang could hit a couple shots. Like, I know that's our bench unit. Those are the guys we're riding with, clearly, based on what we've seen. I know we discussed on Monday maybe some other options, but those have been the guys. On the road, your bench has got to step up. I know it's hard on the road, but those guys, if those guys could get us a couple buckets each, Karis LeVert maybe add in a couple extra along with Mitchell's 30+. I think we win this game, and I think we're talking sweep, come Monday. So to me, Donovan Mitchell sets the table for the team. The bench unit comes in and keeps that momentum going. Donovan Mitchell takes us home late in the fourth to win Game 3. What's your prediction for the score tomorrow night, Jordan?
I'm going to chime in on your Karis LeVert real quick.
Yep.
I have him 18-20 tomorrow.
Whoa,
I think LeVert has I think LeVert has a big game. There's been a lot of talk about his play. He's been kind of the conversation on X when they've been talking about different defensive players and sixth man of the year.
He didn't even get a vote for sixth man of the year.
Yeah, I think that he comes into Game 3 with that chip on his shoulder and makes that big statement. So I see him going 18-20. I think the Cavs win this one. I'm going to say 118-96. I think the Cavs stomp them.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think the Cavs go crazy. I think the bench steps up. I think Mitchell steps up. I think we finally see that Garland that we've been pounding on the table for all year long. And this team makes a statement as a whole unit that they are here, they're in the East, and they're moving on.
Wow. Okay, that is a massive statement. I don't have it quite that absurd. We are actually underdogs in Game 3 at Orlando. I'm going to go.
I love it.
I'm going to go 93-91 Cavs. I think it's going to be a fist fight. I think it's going to be a little tougher than what you're leading on, but I do think we pull it out and we moved 3-0. We just can't let them come out and punch us in the mouth, and then we cannot get up off the floor. Their offense isn't good enough to run away from us, but we can't take that really hard punch to start the game. That's what I'm worried about most is Paolo Banchero coming down the lane in a massive dunk, and then maybe we turn over the ball and they hit a three and it's 5-0. We can't let that shit happen tomorrow night. We've got to be ready. We've got to have the wall built. There's going to be a lot of fouls go Orlando's way in this game. We've got to be ready for it. We've got to be ready to go to the basket and finish hard, because we may not get those calls that we got in Cleveland.
Correct.
We can't let them get a 5-0, a 7-0 start. No punch in the mouth. We've got to do the punch. That's what I'm saying. Donovan Mitchell, first play, pull up three, bang, and get in their ass on defense right away. It's got to be something like that. We cannot take that first punch. We've got to throw the first punch tomorrow night. And I'm excited as hell. It's going to be on NBA TV. Yeah. Hopefully you and me can watch it together and then watch the draft, a little bit of the draft. We'll definitely try to make that work. But Jordan, we'll have more to talk about on Monday. Obviously, we've got, big playoff games. We've got the NFL draft. We're going to be grading our team's drafts.
Absolutely.
I'm excited, dude. Monday's going to be a fun show. We appreciate everybody who tuned in with us tonight. We have 44 people watching. That means the world to us. We appreciate the hell out of you guys, and we're going to keep trying to grow the show, keep taking opportunities. We're going to, try to keep getting our name out there. So if you could, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, anything helps. We're willing to come on other people's shows. Send us an invite. We'd love to come talk Ohio sports anytime. So thank you guys for the support. Hit us up on X. Jordan, love you, buddy. We've got another show on Monday. Can't wait to kick more ass. Let's do it, okay?
Let's rock and roll. And to the people, again, that are flexing with us, we went late Monday night. We appreciate it. We had to flex to a Wednesday this week. We appreciate it. So
we couldn't compete with the NFL draft.
No, we can't. We're not competing with the NFL draft in the midst of Ohio playoffs as well. So we wanted to get our thoughts out for the draft. It's kind of it's been on our minds. It's been important to us. So thanks for rocking with us this week, 110%, with our times and stuff being all over the place. And we'll see you next week with like all the content in the world to talk about. But we'll be interacting. Hit us up on Twitter. I'm Jordan Maxon too. He's Douglas Stevens. He's there. I'm here. Hit us up right here.
Ohio Sports Talk.
Ohio Sports
Facebook,
Talk.
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Thank you guys.
We're on it. We're more than willing to interact anytime during the day. Just about. We'll talk any sports with you. But really get us going, and we'll see you again next week. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. I'm Doug. That's Jordan, and it's been Ohio Sports Talk. We will see you Monday.